And we are live. I do apologise for the delay, guys. I've had issues with my PC. I was trying to sort out a few things before I went live. I didn't want it to be a mess, so I had to get it correct. If you are in the stream and you are watching, let me know if you can hear and see me okay. I just want to make sure I've got the right mic connected and all that sort of thing. But do let me know. Today we are here and live once again. I'm actually smashing it with these at the moment. We are going to be reviewing our 2-1 win at Colchester on Saturday. A massive 3 points on the road. First away win of the season for us, and actually quite a good performance. We will dive into some of the stats. I think they're not exactly the best representation of how the game actually panned out, I must say. I think probably a bit unfair on paper when we're looking at the stats, so we're probably just going to spend more time talking about how I thought the game actually went. Of course, I did do a vlog for it, so if you haven't already given that a watch, it is live on the channel now. Please do go and give it a watch after watching this live, of course. And once we've reviewed Colchester, we'll be doing a big deep dive into all things Bradford City. I've got Sam joining me, SHD on YouTube, as you boys may know him. He's a massive Bradford fan, goes home and away, and he's a top bloke. So we'll be having him on, having a quick chat about what he thinks and what he makes of Bradford City's season so far. And then once we've had a chat with him, dive into some of the stats and my opinions on Bradford as well. If you do go on to enjoy this live stream, please do smash like and subscribe. We are actually very quickly approaching 2.9k now, and obviously the ultimate goal of 3,000. So if you could help me hit that, it would mean the absolute world. But welcome in, people. I do hope we're well. Riley, I'll see you. Sam's in as well. What a man. Also, before I do get going, I did do a predictions video on Sam's channel. So if you want to go give that a watch, again, go give it a watch after this live. Go subscribe to me. He's a top bloke. His link should be in the description. Let me just double check. It is. Okay, there we go. I'm smashing it. I'm a professional at this point. So, of course, Colchester, we won 2-1. I think my reaction on the vlog sums it up. The first 5 minutes were absolutely horrible. They could have scored within 10 seconds. They had a huge chance. Our defence was in complete disarray. They could have had a penalty. The Cowleys, I remember seeing them, were absolutely livid on the sidelines. And, you know, on another day, I think it could have been a penalty. So, yeah, I think maybe we got away with it in the opening few minutes, and then literally out of nowhere, we've played some of the best football I've seen us play all season. That's why I didn't actually get the whole of the goal on camera, because it just came so out of the blue. We've attacked so quickly with such quality, and Jordan Thomas, the definition of right place, right time to get onto the end of the ball in. Not defended brilliantly, but he's scrapped for it, and he's put it in the back of the net for his first goal in professional football, and his first goal, obviously, while being with us at Cheltenham since January. So absolutely buzzing for him. And then obviously from then on we had chances to go 2-0 up. We didn't take them. They ultimately scored through Lyle Taylor. Could the goal have been defended better? Most likely. I think so. But listen, you know, you can't be picking and choosing. At the end of the day, we got the 3 points. And then the rest of the first half was a bit of an interesting one. I think there was an interesting few occasions of refereeing. I said it at halftime on the vlog. I think the referee had a bit of a stinker. Colchester could have had 2 penalties. They had 3 shouts. They could have had 2, in my opinion. The last penalty shout in the first half was almost certainly not a penalty. I think because of the first 2, they were kind of on edge a bit more. Maybe that's why the reaction was caused from the fans. But at the end of the day, once again, you know, we've retaken the lead through an absolutely unreal bit of play from Jordan Thomas. I thought he spent too much time on the ball, but he's been invited right up to the edge of the box. And then it's a really well-placed finish, but it's not a powerful shot at all. It's bounced before it's gone over the line. And I don't think there was a deflection on it at all. It didn't look like it from our angle, and it didn't look like it on the highlights either. But he's done really well. He's hit it on his left foot, and he's found the bottom right corner. And you know, their keeper, I mean, I think on another day again would have done better. I mean, we've seen a lot from him in the past at other clubs, and he didn't really show it. He didn't really show it on the weekend, I must say. But no complaints from me. And then the second half was the definition of a slog, really. We did still try to attack, but we didn't look like scoring. But we defended very well, and we didn't actually sit back for the whole 45. I think the stats and the patterns of play chart that I will get up on the screen, I think are very unfair, in my opinion. I must say, I'm not too keen on the way it kind of paints the game, if that makes sense. But of course, after Saturday, we do now sit 17th in Sky Bet League 2 on 13 points. The form is looking a little bit better, but compared to those teams around us, it's still not brilliant, is it? Accrington well and truly coming up on the rails. 3 wins in the last 3. Unbelievable stuff. And, they're not the only team that we'll mention today that have won their last 3, unfortunately. So, I mean, we're in a much better position than we were. Of course, if we'd have lost and the teams below us got results on Saturday, we could have ended up in the bottom 2. Everything went right, and I think it was probably our best performance over the course of 90 minutes this season. Once again, despite the fact that the stats don't really suggest that. Yeah, you can't complain. 5 points above the drop now, 12 played, 16 goals scored. Very impressive, I've got to say. This time last season, we just scored our first goal against Derby in the 12th game, and we've already scored 16. Need to sort out that defending, though. We will, of course, keep discussing the defending until we stop conceding, because we can't stop conceding at the moment. Quite frankly, the defending is still not 100%, but it looked much more assured in that second half on Saturday. Of course, that means that Colchester did then go down to 20th. A really, really disappointing start for the quality of squad that they have as well. They've got some fantastic players. Lyle Taylor has been banging them in for Colchester this season, and it was pretty obvious that he was going to get the goal on Saturday, and he did. It was a good finish. He did very well. But yeah, it's Colchester fans seemingly getting fed up. We spoke to a few of them on the bus and outside the ground before the game, and they were all saying, we think it's going to be a draw at best for us. And we were like, lads, you don't quite realise how bad we are. I don't think we quite realised how bad they were, if I'm perfectly honest. But we did turn up. But yeah, I mean, only 3 points above the drop. It's getting interesting for Danny Cowley at Colview. He's got a good side at his disposal, but the form is just not there. Without a winning 4 now, 2 losses, 2 draws, the form has got to pick up. And, they've got some tough games coming up. Teams around them in the league, teams higher up as well. There's no rest in this division. Of course, straight into midweek action for every team in the league. So it could get very interesting for Colchester in the coming weeks. But let's quickly look at our player ratings according to SofaScore. Now, I think, Ethan Archer somehow doesn't have a rating, which is a bit frustrating because I actually think he was the best player. And I will do a bit of a deep dive into Ethan Archer. I do have a little screenshot of his stats from the game. Again, he played much better than they suggest, really. Players I want to point out in this one, I thought Joe Day was absolutely excellent. Seemingly will be playing tomorrow as well, due to Owen Evans not being risked due to injury. So looks like he's going to be playing again tomorrow, and I don't really have too many complaints with that. I think he deserves a game, and hopefully he can put in a similar performance to what he did on Saturday, because he's absolutely brilliant. And I was really impressed by his distribution once again as well. The thing we have with Owen Evans is this season he's actually really turned up. He really has turned up. He's silenced the critics, and his shot stopping's been excellent. But you can't let him have the ball at feet, because the distribution is not good enough. Joe Day's distribution is very, very good. And let's not forget he's a player coach. He's second choice goalkeeper, but he's a player coach. And it's 2 league starts in a row for him now. And his first start at Wallen Road. To go off the back of that as well. Of course, we saw him at Plymouth away in the Carabao Cup. I thought he was really good, despite the fact that we conceded 3. Made some really good saves, and it could have been, a bit of a whitewash if it wasn't for him. So I thought, I wasn't nervous at all going into Saturday, having him in goal, and I was proven right. Other players you want to mention, and I'm so happy for this lad, Sam Stubbs. I thought he was absolutely brilliant on Saturday. Still had a couple errors in him. I think his passing was a bit questionable at times, but I think that was much more of a performance similar to the level we saw when he first came in. I think Walsall away was a poor team performance all round. However, I think Saturday was sorry, he was probably the standout in that game, and I think Saturday was close to that. Of course, I don't think it matches his Harrogate performance because again, over the course of 90 minutes, he was probably our best player by a country mile. But it's going to do wonders for his confidence. However, of course, we will not be seeing him in action tomorrow. So of course, that's one thing worth mentioning, which is a bit frustrating. He could have really done with having a game straight afterwards to kind of build on that good performance that we saw on Saturday and really, really improve his confidence levels. But yeah, unfortunately, we will not be seeing him. And then Jordan Thomas on an 8.5, obviously 2 goals, you're going to get that rate. And I thought it was really good. The thing I've said about Jordan Thomas all season is he does need to start more games, but it's hard. It's hard to start him because unless you're playing 5 in midfield, which we did on Saturday with wingers, it doesn't work. I mean, this formation, I don't know why they've got it as 4-3-3. It almost certainly wasn't a 4-3-3, so ignore the formation. He was playing out on the right wing, to the right of a midfield 3, and he absolutely came into his own. His ball playing abilities really came into the spotlight on Saturday, and of course managed to grab 2 goals for himself as well. His first 2 goals in professional football, as I mentioned. So again, something that will do wonders for his confidence, and hopefully we can see him start against Bradford. Do I think we'll set up in the exact same way? Do I bollocks? But you never know. We'll soon see. And then of course I will finally mention Ethan Archer. Now, we will get up his stats. I think this lad is something seriously special. I mean, where to even start with him? Again, these stats don't really... for a start, I don't think they're actually right, because he got on the ball a fair bit on Saturday. I refuse to believe that he only had 1 dribble attempt. And as little passes as he had. But he did get an assist. I wish I could show you the heat map. I should have included that in the little stat screenshot. I do apologise there. But yeah, a great assist. Just he looks like he's going to make something happen every time he gets on the ball, attacking wise. And 5 crosses, admittedly only 2 successful, but our aerial presence in the box is usually pretty poor. Aside from the Bradbury goal against Harrogate, aside from the Bowman goal against Accrington, been pretty poor this season, but it is somewhat getting there. 1 big chance created, of course, leading to the goal for Jordan Thomas, which is what you want to see. You want to see that clinical nature about your team, and yeah, I just think honestly, this lad 2 years ago or so was practically playing Sunday League level football, and now he's clearly one of our best players. I honestly think if we get him on another year on his contract, of course he's currently on a 2-year contract. I think add another year to that, and we're going to get a really big fee for him because this lad is unbelievable. And it's not only his attacking abilities, because of course he is an attacking player. He does like going forward. His attributes suggest that he is much more of an attacking player than a defensive player. But he absolutely dies for the badge. He's similar to Bakare. I said this. I said this on the player rankings. He plays for the badge on the front and not the name on the back. And what's proven in that is Colchester were running down the wing quite late on, trying to get an equaliser on Saturday. And who's popped up, absolutely sprinting back and putting in an excellent slide tackle to win the ball? Ethan Archer. It was a perfect tackle, and he's absolutely busting a gut to get back. And, if the passion is there alongside the footballing ability, which clearly is in abundance with Ethan Archer, I just think this guy's really going to go places, and hopefully we can get another year or so of actually seeing him in a Championship before he inevitably gets snapped up for too little money, because that is the way it's going. He will be. I think he's been our best player this season. After seeing Saturday, I genuinely do think he's been our best player this season. And finally, before I just do give kind of my thoughts on the game and what the positives to take into Bradford, we will just look at the overall stats. Now, this is what I mean by I think the stats are harsh in terms of the way in which it paints the game. 67% possession. I think the second half was the major catalyst for that. I think we didn't have much of the ball in the second half, but when we did, we looked We looked solid. They had two big chances, didn't take them. To be honest, I think they had way more big chances than that. But Joe Day was unbelievable in goal. Two really good saves in the second half to keep us in the game, or sorry, to keep us in the frame for 3 points, should I say? One big chance for us. Of course, that was the first goal. Jordan Thomas' second goal, I would argue, wasn't really a big chance. Probably should have been saved as well. Keeper should have got down quicker. Not complaining again. 20 shots for Colchester, and I actually think they didn't have that many shots. Joe Day was threatened on a few occasions. Again, made a few good saves. We made a couple blocks here and there. They scored a goal. I don't think they had 20 shots. They probably did. I'm not doubting that the stats are real or not, literally, but I think it says a lot when I can only remember 8 or 9, maybe 10. They didn't look entirely threatening. I think we played them at the right time. They're low on confidence, and it showed in their attacking presence, I would say. Again, like I say, Joe Day making a few saves, 3 in total, 2 in the second half. Absolutely brilliant goalkeeping. And it could have easily, ended up 3-2 to them if it wasn't for him in goal. Although I have no doubt that Owen Evans also would have saved those shots because, again, he's been very good this season. 476 passes for Colchester. I did think they reminded me of towards the end of Arsene Wenger's time at Arsenal, when it was literally pass. It was almost as if they were trying to pass the ball into the back of the net, and it clearly didn't really work for them. I think their goal through Lyle Taylor was good. It was a good strike, but when they do actually take a shot, that proved what happens. Lyle Taylor could easily bang in 20 this season if they stop, trying to pass it into the back of the net, which clearly was the case on Saturday. I mentioned it at half time to someone in the away end. They were so they were just so slow. It was really passive football, not very threatening, despite the amount of chances that they had. So again, I'm not discrediting our performance at all. I think it was excellent. But I definitely do think we got away. We got away lucky with the timing in which we played them. And then 14 tackles from us again, good defending. So many free kicks. Oh my word! The referee had a busy game, and he should have been more busy. I think Colchester several occasions. Let's forget the penalty shouts. We should have had more free kicks than we got. They should have had more free kicks than they got. But then at the same time, there was the odd free kick that was given that almost definitely wasn't a free kick. So it's just one of them things. Referee was not great, but at the end of the day, we won the game, and that's all that matters. That is all that matters. So, what to take going into Bradford? I think I was very happy with the way in which the team played. I think ideally, you want to line up in a similar fashion going into Bradford at home. I think we have to be on the front foot. We need to play vibrant football, because at the end of the day, we're playing against the Bradford side who, if you sit back, you're going to get punished. The likes of Andy Cook, obviously banging in the goals at the moment, and then you've got a very familiar player to us in their back line that is also perfectly capable of scoring goals. An absolute thunderbolt from Jack Shepherd on Saturday in their game against Cheltenham. Of course, we'll talk more about him with Sam, see how he's getting on. But they've got goal scoring presence all over the pitch from the front to the back, so you simply cannot sit back and let them attack you. I think we're going to have to try and take the game to them on home patch, and just see what happens. Of course, the last time we played at home under the lights was at Accrington at home. It was a terrible game, but we got 3 points. Dug in, got the 3 points. It was it showed serious character to get back into that game, and I was very impressed with that. We don't want to get into a position of having to get back into a game. I think we will, because Bradford are a quality side, and like I say, we will go on to them. But I just think play like we did Saturday, start better. We need a better 5 minutes, because otherwise, if we were playing a better side on Saturday, that chance 10 seconds in goes in. Or they're going to punish us within the first 5 minutes. We need to start quicker. We've seen this season very slow starters from the first kickoff. And the kickoff after half time. We've conceded, I think, 3 or 4 goals this season within 3 minutes of the second half beginning. It's starting to be like that at the start of the game as well, from the first whistle. So we need to be solid early doors, kind of ride out the Bradford storm, if you like, because we will get one, and just take it from there. But in due course, we will be getting Sam on, of course. So Hopefully we can get him on soon. I'll let him know. Or hopefully he lets us know when he's ready. Let me just read the chats. Exeter versus Reading prediction. Hey, Davor, get onto Sam's channel. I'll do another bit of promotion for it. But on Sam's channel, the link is in my description of this live. His link is in... I can't speak. His link is in the description of this live. And I did join him to predict this midweek's League 2 fixtures. So if you do want to go and give that a watch and drop him a sub, please do. And, of course, get him in. We'll get him in soon, and hopefully you can watch that video after this live. Are you watching on Tuesday? I am. Well, you're ready, right, Sam? I can't see you in the thing, so I'll quickly just send you the link again. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting chat about Bradford. Of course, Alexander's got them playing excellent football. It's fair to say. So be interesting to hear Sam's take on it. Hopefully we can get him in soon. The technical difficulties are well and truly shining through today, and it's just not ideal, is it? It's really not ideal. It's such a trek on a Tuesday night. Don't know if I'm going tomorrow. It is, but you got to support your team, mate. You got to support your team. If you got a ticket, get yourself down here. Of course, last time we played Bradford at home, when fans were actually there, we beat them 3-2. That was a Tuesday night as well. We always seem to play Bradford on Tuesdays, and it bugs me. We've got them away again on a Tuesday this year, and I need to tick it off. So I will be going, but it'd be interesting to see how I get there, because I do not fancy getting a hotel in Bradford overnight, if I'm perfectly honest. I'm off to Crawley away tomorrow. Hey, that's very impressive. It's a good long journey, that. For Lincoln. It's going to be an interesting game as well. Of course, Lincoln fresh off a 3-1 defeat to Blues. So we'll have to wait and see how that pans out. Okay, so I can see Sam in the waiting room. He looks ready. So of course we reviewed Colchester, talked about what we're going to take into it. So I'm going to put some questions to Sam. He can talk us through their season so far. And he's here. Sam, I need to put my earphone in. I completely forgot to. How are we doing, mate?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very well. So thank you for coming on. First things first. He's got a busy schedule tonight. He's on Napper's League 2 live, I see. So he's a busy man. So I appreciate him taking the time to come on. Like I say, his link is in the description. Go drop him a sub, all that good stuff. But Sam, obviously you're a massive Bradford fan. You go home and away. It's been a tough few seasons for you, but this season so far under Alexander, you're playing good football. It's going well, isn't it?
Yeah, we had a positive start. You know, it was a bit very streaky under Graham Alexander last season. When you're coming into your 6th straight season in League 2, you know, a lot of Bradford fans will tell you, you know, we shouldn't be in this league really, but you've got to earn your way out of it, and we haven't done that over the last 5 years. You know, we've been so inconsistent, and I think the big thing has been we've kind of seen Valley Parade as more of a hindrance, whereas this season we're using it as a fortress, still unbeaten, winning a lot of games at home, but now our amazing away form that we had in the last couple of seasons seems to have gone a bit, but we did get a good away win against Tranmere, so I'm hoping that can continue tomorrow, and like you say, it has been a positive start, but still plenty of room to work on.
Yeah, I think, you know, the consistency does look like it's starting to come through a little bit more now. You know, 3 wins on the bounce, really impressive, and you're playing good football as well. I watched the game against Newport, and I must say it wasn't the greatest game of football I've ever seen, but you know, you're looking a lot better. You're taking your chances. You're looking a lot more clinical. Of course, if we can, we'll talk about the Cheltenham game. Of course, most recently 2-1 win at home. Like you say, making Valley Parade a fortress. It's looking good. I did watch the highlights. It was an interesting performance overall, but I think the goals were very well taken, and that second goal in particular, we'll talk about that man in a little bit. But how did you see that game, mate?
I actually thought we started out a bit shaky. We always seem to either start the first half or the second half quite poor, and it's been a bit of a problem so far, and it ends up normally with us conceding. That's what we did. I think left back for quite a lot of the season, Tyreek Wright, I don't think he's really been up to standard, and he kind of lost the ball quite high up the pitch, and it meant that we were having to drag loads of players out of position. We ended up with a centre half in a left back position, and everyone was having to come over. So it then meant they had a free man making the run from midfield, and then it kind of just toe poked it, and somehow it went off like the outside of his boot, off the inside of the post, and trickled into the back of net. And you're thinking, well, they've lost 3 in a row coming into this game. We're on a decent run of form. You know, this is classic Bradford City to concede an early goal to a team who are on a poor run of form, although you would still expect Gillingham to be up there at the end of the season. We managed to get back into the game from 2 set pieces as well, which is something that we've not really seen quite a lot over the last couple of seasons. We've normally been really poor from set pieces, and defenders haven't really chipped in with many goals. So, I mean, I think we've kind of been helped by the Gillingham goalkeeper. He looked absolutely all over the place. Someone said in my play ratings yesterday that he was a bit of a Dracula because he was so scared of the crosses. So, yeah, I think he certainly did help. But, yeah, great for 2 defenders to get on the score sheet, because we heavily do rely on Andy Cook. So when he doesn't score, we normally don't win. So it was good to kind of put that myth to bed a little bit against a very good Gillingham side.
Yeah, and that's a very good point you raised, and I mentioned it before. You know, before you came on, I think that's the biggest threat to us, is that you've got goals coming from all over the pitch. You know, you're starting to really fire in the goals this season. Now, you haven't really had like a massive win yet, and I feel like if we don't start in the right way and we don't set up well, you know, at times that at home over the last couple of years, you know, if we concede a few early doors, we crumble. You know, we saw it against Swindon. You know, we 2-0 down at half time. We concede straight away in the second half, and then we managed to claw back 2. But of course, this time it's not Swindon at home. It's Bradford City, a side who've won 3 in a row. And you know, maybe not so much recently, but you can be good away from home. But that's, like you mentioned, that's been one of your best aspects in recent years. Who would you say going into this game is kind of the main threat? And you're not allowed to say Andy Cook, because obviously if he gets on the wrong side of us, he's going to easily get a hat-trick. So other than Andy Cook, who is your biggest threat to us?
Yeah, well, the obvious answer is Andy Cook. You know, he scores, you know, the large part of our goals. But I think it's normally whoever plays in them number 8 positions. We kind of play small to Holden and then 2 in front of him. If it's Walker, if it's Adore, if it's Poynton, well, we've seen all of them can be threats on their day. If Jay Ben's back, you know, he's a big threat at right wing back for us. He displaced Brad Halliday, who got in the League 2 team of the season last year. And while Halliday's performances haven't quite been up to scratch, I think Jay Ben has been excellent. He didn't play at the weekend through illness, so fingers crossed he's come through that, because it seems to have gone like kind of the whole way through the camp. And, you know, we've had a fair few players play on Saturday while they were still ill. So hopefully Jay Benny's back, 'cause he's a big threat on the right-hand side. But I think you should watch out for Bobby Poynton. If he comes on off the bench, you know, he's a really, really good impact sub for us. When he starts, he can be a bit inconsistent. But even someone like Clark Adore, you know, he's very, very good. Technically, I would say he's one of the best players in the division, but he just doesn't have the end product. And sometimes he can hold on to the ball a little bit too long. But he could easily pick up the ball and glide past 4 players like they're not even there. And then he'll pass it 5 yards straight to an opposition player. So he's a little bit inconsistent. Jamie Walker, goal scoring midfielder as well. I would say he can be a threat on his day. When he has a bit of an iffy game, then he'll normally have a good game, and I don't really think he stood out too much in the last couple of matches, to be fair. So I'd expect him to hopefully pop up with a goal tomorrow.
So it's long overdue then, isn't it? And it always happens. You know, we come up against a team who've got the odd player that's, you know, maybe a bit out of favour, out of form, but is easily capable of doing better. And they turn up to one road and they you know, grab 2 assists and 3 goals, and, you know, we leave at half time. So I could see that easily happening. The Cheltenham fans that are probably watching obviously want me to ask one question and one question only. How has Jack Shepherd been for you this season? Give us some insight, mate.
So he came in to kind of, I would say, probably be a backup to Kieran Kelly, obviously left-sided centre-half, Kieran Kelly being our only left-footed centre-half, while we do, I think, at the club at the moment now have 7 central defenders. We got, because we had so many injuries, we had to bring many in, but I think he came in just before our final pre-season game, played on off the bench in a couple of matches when the season started, just to kind of help us see the game out, because he's a type of player who can play centre half, left back, played the first few games as a left wing back as a substitute and looked quite solid. Got a start in the Carabao Cup against Grimsby, looked really good in that game. Then it was Grimsby away in the league, I think 4th or 5th game of the season, something like that. Aidan Baldwin went down injured with a hamstring injury about 10, 15 minutes in, something like that. And we had to readjust our back 3. Jack Shepherd came on and we were absolutely all over the place. I think when he comes on as a sub early on in games, which happened a couple of times because of the injuries, he did look a little bit shaky. But when he started games, he looked brilliant. Technically, really, really good with the ball at his feet. Defensively, really solid as well. There's some games where you think that's one of the best defensive performances I've seen. I remember Wimbledon at home, him and Diabate were absolutely excellent. I think even at the weekend against Gillingham, obviously scores an unbelievable goal, and he has been a big threat going forward for us. Got a couple so far this season, but defensively picked up an early booking in the second half and still maintained his discipline. For a young centre half, that's not easy to do. I think he communicates very well as well. And to say he doesn't really get much defensive support from Tyreek Wright, I think he's been absolutely brilliant so far. And Kieran Kelly, with him being injured, I think he's going to struggle to get back into the side unless Barnsley do recall Shepherd in January.
It's sounding very similar to his time at Cheltenham. I think when he came in for us, he came in with glowing reviews from Barnsley fans. Just a case of he was too young, didn't have enough experience, didn't have the attributes to get anywhere near the squad for them really. But when they had seen him, they were impressed. Came in and he had a few substitute appearances for us. And actually, I agree. He did look a bit shaky initially, but I think again, you got to remember he is a young centre half. He doesn't have the best experience and. I do think he needs time, and I think since he first came in for you boys to now, I think it's definitely showed that time has told, and he's definitely become much more of a solid asset to you boys. So I'll ask one more question, then I'll ask for your prediction. Of course, like we've said many a time already, you've had a fantastic start to the season. You're right up there. You're only, I think, 1 or 2 points off the automatic spots. So I will be looking into the stats a bit later when I've let you go. But what is your thoughts going for the rest of the season, mate? Do you think you can keep up the form and finally get that elusive promotion?
It all depends on injuries, really. Our only kind of bad run so far this season is when we had pretty much all of our centre halves injured, which, it isn't ideal. But whenever we've played the back three, we look brilliant. When we had the centre half injuries, we had to go to a 4-4-2. You're playing a 4-4-2 with no natural wingers in the squad. We look poor, and that's why we're losing football matches. But we look so consistent in this side. I think we need to get Andy Cook's strike partner scoring goals, whether that be Ollie Sanderson, who seems to have a bit of a falling out with the coaches, which isn't ideal because he came in and scored a couple of goals, and all the other partners for him haven't scored yet. Callum Kavanagh has kind of been the man at the start of the season who a lot of people backed to score a lot of goals this year, and he's still yet to score. Kind of stole a goal from Jack Shepherd at the weekend where he tapped the ball in, which he didn't need to do. The ball was already going in. He was offside, and then that got disallowed. So I think it does obviously massively depend on injuries at the moment. We've got, I think, still 5 or 6. Joe Adams did his ACL in like his 3rd appearance for the club, and he only played about 60 minutes of football, and then he did his ACL. So that were, really gutting. So he looked like a promising player. Anthony Sarswick probably going to be out until the new year. He was our marquee sign in the summer. Alex Patterson as well, goal scoring midfielder, currently injured. So it all does depend on injuries. It massively depends on Andy Cook. That's the most important one. He has to stay fit for the full season. If he does, I think he gets 25 goals with his eyes closed pretty comfortably. He gets assists as well. We're scoring goals from set pieces. Things are looking positive. I would say the fans are certainly behind Graham Alexander the most out of recent managers, even more than Mark Hughes, Derek Adams, because he's very honest in his interviews, and I think the fans can relate to him quite a lot, and they appreciate his honesty at times. When we play poorly, he'll come out and say we play poorly, and the fans appreciate that. He's not trying to make excuses and all that sort of stuff. We've been on the wrong end of a lot of poor referee decisions so far as well this season. We should have had an extra 2 points. We had a goal wrongfully chalked off against Salford when the ball did go over the line, and obviously with them 2 extra points, we currently be sat 2nd in the table. So things are certainly looking positive. I think the league is wide open as well. No one's really running away with it at the moment. Port Vale and Doncaster look good, but they're not 6 points clear already like what bloody Stockport, Mansfield and Wrexham were this time last season. So I think it's certainly looking positive for us. And like I say, 10 points out of the last possible 12 available is certainly good going.
Yeah, okay. It's nice to hear you boys finally doing well, because I've said for the last few years you're like the Pompey of League Two. You are too big for the league and you can't get out of it. So hopefully this is finally the chance to do it, starting after tomorrow. So thank you for coming on, Sam. Before I let you go, I'm going to ask you, what is your score prediction and who are going to be your goal scorers?
Well, I've had a bit of a thing this year of predicting us to lose and then we go on and win. And whenever I predict us to win, we go on and lose. So I'm going to go 2-1 Cheltenham. But as much as I'm kind of going with the reverse psychology, there is also logic behind this, with the fact that you've not been amazing so far this season. We're on a very positive run, and it's kind of that Tuesday night away from home under the lights at quite a small ground. I don't think there'll be thousands of Bradford fans travelling down. There might be around 500, so I don't think we'll be making the biggest of atmospheres. If you get an early goal, that's where we might struggle a little bit to get back into it. Apart from at the weekend against Gillingham, when we've gone a goal behind, we normally struggle then to get back into the game. Our away form hasn't been amazing, so if I was to give a prediction, I unfortunately do think we will lose 2-1. In terms of goal scorers, I will back maybe Jay Ben to get his first goal for Bradford. And then for Cheltenham, I don't really know too many players after your big summer overhaul. Maybe, is it the midfielder from Wrexham? Is it Young, the captain?
Yeah,
I'll back him to get a brace. Why not?
Okay. My good friend Josh will be very happy to hear that. But Sam, thanks for coming on, mate. If you haven't already, go and subscribe to Sam's. Link is in the description. And of course, I did go onto his channel to do a video giving my midweek predictions for this week's fixtures. So if you haven't already, go give that a watch, give it a like, show it some love. And yeah, Sam, are you travelling down?
I'm not, no, unfortunately.
Wow.
The people we normally travel with are not doing travel for the game, and then I think all the other travel's like 40 quid, and I can't justify that.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. Well, hopefully see you soon anyway, mate. Thanks for coming on, and all the best for the rest of the season until I see you at Valley Parade.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Sam, mate, top man. Thank you, Sam. All the best, mate. And yeah, it's a nice little bit of coverage from a Bradford perspective. Let's dive into their game against Cheltenham a little bit more. Then, of course, a very good win. 2 goals from defensive players, like Sam says. Let's look at their player ratings. I think all round a very good performance, aside from Tyreek Wright, who I've never really rated, to be honest. It'd be interesting to see. Be interested to see how he does for the rest of the season. But, you know, those back 3 ratings speak for themselves. Jack Shepherd on a 7.7 is very good to see. Very good to see. Of course, Andy Cook didn't have so much effect on the game, but again, 2 goals from centre-backs. He's not, you know, unless he's scoring goals, he can sometimes be a little bit passive, I think. That's the only thing I'd say about Andy Cook. Maybe not so much this season, but in previous seasons when I have seen him, unless he's, you know, behind the goals, it's not necessarily that he has the greatest effect on the game going forward. But a really good performance from Bradford. Again, I watched the highlights. Didn't really start too well. You know, it is 2 teams playing against each other. That their last 2 games, you know, they both won 2-1, but neither side started well. I mean, we got a goal 5 minutes in, but our start prior to that was probably the worst start I've seen all season. Admittedly, it's over a much shorter time period than Bradford had, but you know, we could have easily gone 1-0 down. In those opening 4 minutes or so. There could have easily been a penalty in those opening 4 minutes. Well, in the opening 10 seconds even, should I say. It was that quick. We did not switch on at all. So Bradford have to take the game to us, I think. Like I said, from both teams' perspectives, the game's got to be taken to each other. But I think if Bradford really want to get on the right foot, should I say, they have to start well. If they start well, we're guaranteed to start poorly. I think it's going to be whichever team buckles first. Otherwise, it could easily end up being a 0-0. You know, if neither team buckles early on. So it's going to be an interesting game, I think, judging off of what I've seen of Bradford so far. The patterns of play, they do try and take the game to teams, but not early on. You know, what I think is positive is the patterns of play are quite similar for a lot of their games this season, aside from the odd one when they have started well. You know, they didn't start the game well or start the second half well. Of course, no goals in the second half. But, you know, pure domination at times in this game over a Gillingham side who, you know, they've started the season very well. They're in those playoff places for most of the time, but their form is shocking. It's similar to you know, the likes of Barrow. They're both up there, but you know, if they continue their form as they are, they're not going to be up there for long. Especially Barrow, who have lost to some teams that really they just shouldn't be losing to at all. Yeah, but yeah, Bradford have to start well if they want to really, you know, really dominate us, which, you know, really they should be. 3 wins on the spin. They're coming in full of confidence. I think the win on Saturday for us was absolutely vital in terms of confidence for ourselves. But we'll just have to wait and see, won't we? By the way, if anyone's got any opinions or any questions, get them in the chat. These live streams, the point of them, they're meant to be interactive, you know. So if you've got anything to say, do get it in the chat. AJW said good live. I appreciate that, mate. Good to have you here. I hope you're having a good day. Hope you're having a good Monday evening. These were the stats for their game against Gillingham. Again, it's you know, they've dominated the game. They've had far more shots. You know, the goalkeeper wasn't really threatened too much. I wouldn't say. I think you know, Walker's had a fairly quiet game. Only having to defend 1 big chance. Well, just pretend I didn't have a massive voice crack there. And yeah, and they are getting a lot of set pieces, and you know, Sam said, you know, in recent weeks and so far this season, their set pieces haven't been exactly the most clinical. They're getting a lot, and you know, they scored 2, not necessarily directly, but from off the back of set pieces on Saturday. We're terrible at defending crosses. So anytime there's a corner or a free kick in a crossing position, I do worry. They've got their defence is very tall. Of course, Jack Shepherd in there, we know how good his aerial presence can be. And if they're putting balls into the middle of the box or the far post, I think anywhere other than the near post, and we can't defend them seemingly going off of this season. So. I mean, the goal we conceded, the two goals we conceded in the first half against Swindon, of course, was a cross into the box and it's gone into the middle of the box, and the defence has done terribly dealing with it. And then the second goal has come off the back of a set piece and it's whipped into the box, and their players completely freed himself at the back post. Our defending on that left side is horrendous. Defending from the wings is horrendous. So I think Colchester, we did get lucky in the sense that it's almost like they didn't watch us at all before that game. They didn't really try to put in any crosses at all. They tried to play through the middle of the pitch most of the time, or, take it down the wings and then play it in to the edge of the box. I think, against the Bradford side, who do have an aerial presence and height, any crosses into the box, into the centre of the box or the back post, and, they could be given goals, and Joe Day is going to have a busy 90 minutes, that's for sure. Well, that's already a positive comment that I like to see. Every set piece goes back post. So as I'm just saying about how our defending from crosses, our defending from crosses that go into the middle of the box or the far post is terrible. Well, there we go, brilliant. They all charge in. Okay, interesting to know. I'm not looking forward to it. I'm not looking forward to it after hearing that. But there we go. A lot of insight is always helpful. I think it's interesting difficult to know what to expect going into this game, because it is probably the hardest, the stiffest task we've faced so far. I don't think we've played a team above them in the league. So yeah, I do think it's our hardest game on paper so far, and we haven't got the easiest run either. We've got an absolute crunch match away at Carlisle on Saturday. I will not be going to that. I do apologise. It's tough. So hopefully we can get a decent result to put us in good stead for the next few fixtures, because we do have hard games coming up. That win did put Bradford 5th in the league and 1 point off of those automatic spots. I knew it was 1 or 2, couldn't quite remember, but yeah, 3 wins in a row, only one win in the last only one loss in their last 5. However, of course, Walsall have played one less than Bradford, but a win and results going their way on Tuesday could be huge, so they're going to be well up for it. And the few hundred fans that do travel down and back Graham Alexander's man are gonna be getting right behind their team, and it's going to be a very, very stiff task, it's fair to say. But I think that's pretty much all the previewing we've got to do. It's always very helpful when we've got a guest on. So Sam, I appreciate you coming on. If anyone's got any questions or opinions going into this one, get them in the comments now. We'll be reading through them if anyone has any. And if you haven't already, please do drop the stream a like. It helps me out massively. And do subscribe if you haven't already. We are currently on. Let me check. I haven't checked in about a day or so, actually. Well, since I uploaded the vlog yesterday. So we are currently on, when it loads. Hopefully it's not lagging the stream. 2,834. So we are trying to approach 3,000. Rapidly approaching that at the moment. And thank you for the support on the recent matchday vlog as well. It is live on the channel, so go give it a watch to watch us beat Colchester 2-1 from a fan's perspective. It's an interesting watch, I must say. But there we go. But thank you to everyone who's tuned in today. I do appreciate it massively. One thing I'm going to be doing tonight is doing a little Q&A on my Instagram story. Going to do a little question box thing, so get your questions in, any things you got to say. Your question can feature anonymously on the story, and I will answer as many as I can. I actually do tend to get quite a few questions, so it's always difficult to get through them all, I must say. But I'm looking forward to doing it. And if you do have any questions you want to put to me, then now's your time. I'll probably start it at like 7 o'clock. So there we go. Sam says up the chickens. No. Well, up the chickens after tomorrow. Like I said, hopefully you have a good season. But let's wait until Saturday for that, please, lads. And let's put it back on pause when we head up to Valley Parade. One thing I will say is the fact that Bradford's away form this season hasn't been quite so good, aside from their 2-0 win against Tranmere a couple of weeks back. I think that is a massive plus. And with us only winning 4 this season, 3 of which being on home patch, I think that is a stat that's worth noting. So yeah, that's where I'll leave the stream. Thank you everyone for tuning in. We've been live for 45 minutes. Actually less time than we usually live for, so it's a nice change. But thank you everyone for supporting. Thank you everyone for liking, subscribing. Like I say, if you haven't already, go and subscribe to Sam. Go and watch his recent video, his midweek League 2 predictions, and I did feature. So go give it a watch, go give it a like, and like I say, subscribe. Help him hit his next sub goal. He's massive these days, so let's make him even bigger. And yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in. God bless you all. Keep an eye out for the vlog for the Bradford game that will be out on Wednesday morning, just because by the time I actually get home from the game and edit the vlog and everything, it's already like 10:30, 11 o'clock on a Tuesday night. No one's going to be watching it at that time. So Wednesday morning, do keep an eye out. Hopefully it'll be a good vlog, and hopefully, it's a good game and it's a good watch for us. But stay safe, have a class rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one.